Steve Zalewski, would you give me some good advice on how to be a CISO?
Yeah. Treat everybody like they're your boss with respect and with undivided attention.
Ah, that is some good advice. But Bill, I want you to do the opposite. Give me some bad advice on how to be a CISO.
Paint the entire company with a single policy and make everyone do it based on what you did at your last company.
Oh, that is some bad advice. All right, Steve, one up him. Give me some worse advice.
Make MFA mandatory to keep your job.
Get ready. It's Super Cyber Friday.
Very funny. All right, everybody. Welcome to Super Cyber Friday. Today's topic is hacking CISOs. Really, it's Ask a CISO Anything. By the way, I think I got like about a dozen or 14 questions have come in already, like half here, half over on LinkedIn, so we're in great shape. An hour of critical thinking about your questions for our CISOs, and you just met them a moment ago, but let me introduce them. It's Bill Harmer, the operating partner and CISO over at Craft Ventures. That is how Bill spells his first name, with just one L. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bill, your family did not have enough money to get you a second L? Is that true?
Exactly. Poor immigrants.
Poor immigrants, yeah. Well, do not tease them for that, okay? And Steve Zalewski, who has all the appropriate letters in his name. He is a co-host over at Defense in Depth. And he was a former CISO himself over at Levi Strauss. So he knows what he's talking about. All right. Let's get to all the different ways, ways you can participate. Worst question to ask a CISO. That is our bad idea. What should you not be asking a CISO? So we want to hear it. Give us your bad ideas. Remember, best bad idea, which we turn next week, wins an awesome CISO Series fleece. If you have already won one, we give you an awesome Amazon gift card. Now, you can also submit tips on how to become a CISO. What are your tips on suggesting advice on how to become a CISO? Even if you are not a CISO, you can suggest a tip of what you think it should be. You can join us on video to ask a question, or if you are a CISO yourself, I see some of them, like Hadass in there, can answer some questions on camera or right in the chat room. Please do that. Ask questions for our guests, of which some have asked them in the chat room, and I've just upgraded them to Q&A. But if you just click the Q&A box, you'll see them in there. Please do me a favor, vote up your favorite questions. Since we got so many in, I want to address the ones that you're most interested in first. And then you can submit a question for our Super Cyber Meetup, which will be at the very end of this. Those are literally any question you have. We sort of just have a meetup, and you just sort of like can ask the community, like, does anyone have an advice on this? Or I'm trying to do this, or I'm looking for a job here, or whatever that is. That you just write meetup : Anyways, I'll make another call out for it towards the end of the show as well. And as I mentioned, vote for your favorite question as well. Here is our schedule that we're going to have. Why is it not taking me there? Our schedule today. There's our schedule. Play the public interest, the Department of Yes, your Super Cyber Meetup questions, last questions answered, and we'll have our meetup. It is on Discord. If you are not currently have an account on Discord, get on Discord so you can join us, and also join our Discord community, which we will be making more active as time goes by. Also, our next show, not next Friday, because I'm going to be at Black Hat all next week. And also, I'm actually doing, at the time that I normally do this show, I'm going to be doing Tom Merritt's show talking about Black Hat. That's a Daily Tech News show. I'll post about that as well. But an hour of critical thinking about how to be pitch perfect in your demo. So whether you're giving a demo at Black Hat or at RSA, although we're doing it at the end week after Black Hat. So it's preparing you for the next one, I guess. Anyways, the link to do that is at the bottom of the screen right there. You can click on it at any time, and it will not take you out of this at all. It'll register you for the next one. So please do me a favor. Why don't you go ahead and do that right now? All right. Here are the questions. I'm going to ask this one that came in via LinkedIn. This is going straight to you, Steve, because you used to be this. But by the way, both of you can answer. Jimmy Arbelez asks, do you feel that deputy CISOs are necessary? Now, before you were a CISO, you were a deputy CISO. I think more of the question is, when are they necessary? When are they not necessary? Steve.
I have a very simple perspective on that. If you have a company that's large enough that runs 24/7, like Levi's does, okay, the reason why you need a deputy CISO is because you have to have two executives, because no one executive can be available 24/7. So what the deputy CISO is an acknowledgement by the CISO and also acknowledgement by the executive team that both of them can speak as an cybersecurity executive for the company in order for you to be able to take time off. That's why a deputy CISO is important, is to be able to verify that you have basically, two deep security executive team.
Yeah, you're solidly right on that. I was an assistant vice president at Manulife, and I had partial authority, a very specific piece of authority, and step-in authority when my VP was out. So if they're on vacation, couldn't be gotten hold of, whatever, I could step in and be the executive voice for that department.
There's another point to this I want to say too, which was it also allows the security team to have, with two executives, two perspectives. Because we all know, right, if you're talking to executives, they have styles. Some executives have styles that may be better aligned with one or the other, CISO or deputy CISO. So you also have this opportunity to be able to manage the executives with the security executive that's best aligned with their thinking. And don't underestimate the value of that, because it stops a lot of the friction that occurs when there's single point of failure.
All right, let's go to the next question. Again, tons of questions here. I'm going to ask this one from Rory Scout Harlow. And this is actually something that's coming up again on a episode of CISO Series podcast. Should there be a shift to focus more on IR preparedness over defense? And this actually goes to something else Rory also asked about CrowdStrike. But it seems that we're seeing more of this happen. I'll start with you, Bill. I mean, obviously I think, you want both, but should we be tilting more to IR preparedness?
Yeah, because truthfully, I would have thought people were doing IR preparedness. We've been preaching this crap for years.
Right.
But I think, yes, like the concept of assume breach, it's going to happen to you. It's not if, it's when. I think the things we're seeing in the news are highlighting that we are woefully unprepared. You look at the response by MGM, that was a fairly poor response in managing the systems after the incident. I think the CrowdStrike one, the communications and some of the non-technical pieces that were done, that whole gift card thing, not a good response. It could have been much better. I think it was a little tone deaf when it came out. So yeah, I think when you take IR, maybe make it broader, include non-IT people. So maybe we've been doing the IT piece. Let's maybe start focusing a little bit more on the legal, the corporate communications, PR, et cetera.
Yeah, and actually, Rory asked this other question. I think the answer to this one is pretty obvious, but it dovetails with it. How many CISOs do you know wish they would have prepared for their organization for an incident like the one with CrowdStrike? I mean, yes, of course. Yes.
Interesting when you think about it, because the one with CrowdStrike, I think we have forgotten maybe the A in CIA, right? We're always worried about confidentiality, protect. Well, what about availability? So if you're doing full blanket updates to all of your critical systems automatically overnight when nobody's awake, that's not exactly the smartest direction to do it.
Very good point. Steve, you want anything to this? Should be leaning more to IR versus just defense? And again, I know you should be doing both, but I always think, let me just throw this idea in. If you had an amazing IR plan, but a crappy security plan, would you prefer that versus an amazing security plan, but a crappy IR plan?
I would go with a great IR plan and crappy security.
I
the reason
agree.
why I say that, and here's why, which was I won't say in the old days. A lot of times, and if you look back, CISOs think that they own the breach. If there's a breach, their responsibility is to make the company whole again. And we've come to realize that a CISO's responsibility is to contain the breach itself, right? And then the rest of the executive team has to handle the integrity, right, of the company's response to rebuild the integrity of the brand. Okay. And how they do that is very different, and it continues to morph. So part of why I say that is first line of defense is I try to prevent it, and we have to have some of that. But the better I am at the last line of defense to contain it, okay, gives me flexibility on just how good I have to be to prevent it. And so there's this realization about the cybersecurity poverty line and what can I do versus what I want to do versus what does the business expect of me. And I think that's why IR is so good, is it allows the business to understand just how much control they have over a good response to an incident.
We got some really good bad ideas, such as, can I have local admin access, please? It's Dustin Sachs' bad idea. And I do want to add, he did ask please. He did it nicely.
Oh yeah, did you see James? I think it was Sparrenberg go by earlier.
What was his?
Asking the CISO why Pornhub is blocked on the corporate network. I've had that question.
Have you?
Several times at different companies. Not necessarily Pornhub, but the site was definitely, guys, come on.
This goes back many years ago, but we had a problem with employees just playing too many video games on their computers, so we deleted them off. And the woman, not realizing we had done that, goes, "Hey, all the games on my computer are no longer there." like announcing it publicly. All right. This literally just came in, and I want to share it with everybody. Hold on. Because someone was on LinkedIn, and I don't know if any of you guys know John Dixon, but he always wears these very funny T-shirts at trade shows. I'm freezing here, and I want to share the one he's going to be wearing at Black Hat because it's relevant to what we were just discussing. Let's see. Can we see? Start. Can we all read that?
Yeah. Nice.
CrowdStrike.
Yeah.
So
you just need to put the year on it now. We need to put CrowdStrike 2024. Okay. Because
there was a cosplayer at Comic-Con with this shirt, CrowdStrike intern, walking around with a laptop with a blue screen.
That's awesome. That's great.
Brilliant.
That's great. I would say John Dixon's my favorite T-shirt that he's ever worn at RSA was he had a T-shirt. It was a black T-shirt like that with white lettering. It said, "Does not have purchase authority." That's what it said. I survived CrowdStrike 2024. That's great. All right. Well, now let us. Let's go to more questions. We got tons of questions here. Please get more questions in.
There's some great ones in there.
Okay. This comes from Peter Toth. Hello, CISO. Thank you in advance for your mentorship. Can you provide your advice and or experience with communicating technical details to non-technical leadership? We talk about this all the time. I know we could do the whole show on this one topic. Give me a quick answer to this. Either of you, just jump in.
You really like. The quick answer is go spend time with all of your departments and learn their nomenclature. Learn what pains them, what hurts them. The more departments, big companies used to do this. They used to take a hypo, a high potential employee, and roll them through different departments, divisions, teach them how to think they were the future potential leaders for the company. That's what CISOs need to do. We need to go sit in finance. We need to sit in marketing. We need to sit in HR and understand what happens in those places, because then you can understand the processes you can put in place or the tools you can put in place to help them. And that'll help you talk in their language.
The point I always make is, we think about the show, like how many acronyms are we using in the show? And then we kind of assume everyone knows what a SOC is. Everyone knows what MFA is. There are terms. Guess what? Each industry has the same thing. So like we have all this crap. Finance has their own thing. HR has their own thing. So yeah, totally
knowing what a hypo and a lipo are, right, in HR. Yeah. What's a 9 box? Those are things that if you understand, you can talk to them better.
Anything you would add to that, Steve?
Yeah. Practice on your daughter, not mansplaining, because we have this penchant, right, when we talk about security to the business, to be talking about security, not talking about business, to what Bill said. And so I had some fun with my daughter one time when I'm like, okay, break me of mansplaining. Because if I do that, right, then I stop trying to treat you like you're a kid and treat you like a peer and have a conversation that feels more engaging. And that's why when I started with treat everybody like they're your boss, okay, with respect, so that you adjust the language to kind of make it more peer-to-peer.
So
hashtag cybersplain.
So actually, so I used to do something similar to this. So I used to appear on a television show in the Bay Area called This Week in Northern California. It's a kind of a localized version of Washington Week in Review. And they would invite me on to do whatever the tech story. I was on when the iPhone released, that kind of a thing. And my wife would often come down with me to the live shows. And what I would have her do is I'd have her quiz me. Like I'd have this sort of notepad of notes on the story. It's like, I know this topic, but again, I have to give quick answers to them, and I have to answer simply to a non-technical audience. So you would ask me something, and I would try to figure out a way to say it like in 10 to 15 seconds, like really like have a quick response to it. So having someone quiz you in a way that makes you respond on your feet and quickly and not go through a long answer. One of the things I've said to this is I call this the curse of knowledge. Like if I were to ask you to explain MFA, you could totally explain it to, anyone in this industry really, really well. But to a non-technical person, it requires a very different response, and not hear everything all at once too is the other thing. Spoon feed. It's key.
Well, I have to call out Aaron Kinder. That was really funny. He says, I practice on my wife. She has no idea what I'm talking about 99% of the time. I would say spouses may be a special case. You may have just declared success at that point. So and
it's amazing what happens
ways on that one,
years
By the way,
later.
we have a lot of MFAs here. Yes, Master of Fine Arts, Ministry of Finance, and then we have many fantastic avocados from Rich and my foot aches from Hadass. Very good. Oh, this is a good one from Andrew Aiken. Ask the CISO, can you explain how to, quote, accidentally delete all your security logs before the audit team arrives? These are all great. I am very proud of our audience. Very proud of them. All right. I got more questions. From Neil Saltman, who's with Armis. How do unexpected projects get funded? In other words, can a non-priority, unfunded project become a priority versus waiting until the next fiscal year? Does that happen? Good question from Neil.
Absolutely. As long as when they bring the project, they bring the budget. It's depending on the structure of the company, right? If you have chargebacks established, you can usually do it because it becomes a priority for that department, and they can bring budget with them. And that way, when you break out the cyber budget, there should be that core central thing that everybody has: logins, monitoring, all the antivirus, the tools that are out there that go to everybody. But then you should have department or project-based budgeting that comes from the department that wants it, because then it becomes part of the cost of goods. How are they attributing it? And then you're not the one fighting for it. You're like, yes, here's what it's going to cost me. I have to get contractors. I have to maybe deprioritize something else, and there's a cost to that. And you can start to build it out in a way that they understand.
Mm-hmm. We also have, I see another CISO here. Jim Bowie is here. Plain English is key. Very good. All right, let's jump to another question here. I haven't even read these, but I'm just reading them straight. So from Marie Eve Gerard, what level of technical expertise do you believe is ideal for a CISO compared to the level of business and management skills required? An interesting balance question. And one of the things we've talked about is that often, most CISOs, not all, are technical. They come in with a lot of chops, but their chops become less valid over time. So this is a good question. And how much do you need to keep up? Someone was just saying that a CISO should learn coding, not because they should do it, but because they have to think like that. I don't know the validity of needing to do that, but Steve, what do you think?
I'm a horrible coder.
Very good.
My assembly language coding is a little weak at this point, but I'll give it a hack. Here's what I would say to that. The nicest compliment I ever got was I went in front of the executive team and I had a conversation around security and what we had to do. And at the end of the 15-minute conversation, somebody said, Steve, what was really great was we had a 15-minute conversation and we understand the value of security, and you didn't say the word security once. And that was, we were talking about the business. And the way I said that was, my responsibility was to protect the brand, protect the people, and protect the supply chain. And here are the risks associated with that and what I can do about it, as opposed to saying, well, I've got 852 credential stuffing attacks going on my e-commerce site on my checkout page, and therefore I've got 452 areas that I have to be able to patch, right? And you just lose them. And so when we moved it to a business value proposition, like Bill talked about, and we don't actually focus on security controls, that is a huge value to any CISO to be able to kind of have that ability to speak those two different languages.
Oh, I just realized that we have not jumped into our first game, so we need to do that right now.
Do you know what others are thinking? On the public interest.
All right, my apologies. I was just having so much fun chatting with you guys all about this stuff, and I didn't get into our first game here, so let's do it right now. The public interest is how it's played. I did not create the questions, so I'm going to play alongside. I don't know. Mr. Rich Straffolino produced all this, so everyone in the audience, they can play along as well. Most average monthly search queries. Here we go. What gets more, management, policy, or strategy? What do you think?
Policy.
B or C? You said policy?
Policy.
B, policy for, what do you think, Steve?
Management.
I'm going to go C, strategy. I think more people want to know a strategy. I think it's strategy. Let's see what we got here.
Management.
Management. Steve has got
go.
1. You and I got 0. Bill.
That's it. Game's over. I won. That's it.
No.
Declaring success.
4
It's a good
questions.
CISO. Okay. Don't. I'm not going to
Here we go. Awareness or culture? Awareness or culture?
That's a 50-50, isn't it?
Well, you can look at it that way.
All right, I'll go first. Awareness.
Awareness?
I'm assuming these are by CISOs.
No. This is anybody on
Anybody.
Google. Anyone. So it doesn't have to be cybersecurity related at all. In fact, it most often is not. So you have to think about all the other ways this could be used.
Culture.
I'm going with culture. I'm
gonna agree with you guys that we're all gonna go E, culture. A lot of people feel this way. We're gonna see if we're all right. We are all right. Good. Okay. Good. Okay. Steve is 2 for 2. You and I, Bill, we have 1 each. All right. Assessment, recovery, or response. Ooh, this is a good one because I can think of all good reasons to search all these terms here. Assessment.
I'm letting somebody else go first.
Okay. This is a tough one. I'm gonna go F, assessment.
I'm going to go H, response.
I'm piling on with Steve because he's running perfect here. So I'm either going to screw him up and bring him down with me.
Oh,
or
I
I'm
see.
riding
This
his
is
coattails.
Vegas. This is what it is. You're sitting with me at the craps table going, he's rolled 2 7s. I'm rolling.
Yep.
Okay, I got it. Okay.
All right, let's see how it goes. I win. There we go.
There you go.
You lost your perfect streak there. All right. Way to bring Steve down with you.
I had to even this out.
All right, last one. Malware, phishing, or ransomware.
Ransomware.
I think it's gonna be ransomware or phishing. It's
Phishing,
definitely
yeah.
not malware.
It's terms people know.
It's just those are two, and it's the most. This is always the most recent months too.
Oh.
So if terms change over time, it's got to be ransomware.
Ransomware.
I got to go with ransomware because it's just it's almost become a generic word now, right? That everybody just.
Oh, and that 37.
I'm gonna go phishing just because I think it's second to ransomware, but it might be first. I don't know. We're gonna find out. Phishing or ransomware. Here we go. I did win. All right, I got 3 out of 4.
See, I'm holding Steve
back.
back.
Look at that. Ransomware is dead last.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Awesome.
All right, we got tons more questions. All right, let's get through.
Strong,
we got a lot more
faded
questions
fast.
to get through.
There you
go. Okay, I like this question. This one here. I'm sorry, I have to get out of this. Hold on. This comes from Dario Montelongo, and again, we could do a whole episode on this topic, but he just asked this question: what is your prioritization methodology? So what's your sort of thinking when you're classifying risk? What's your methodology when you're looking at classifying risk? Either one of you jump in on this.
All right, I'll start. So there's a couple ways. First one is I look at the threat actors themselves, okay? Which is, am I worried about script kiddies? Am I worried about social hacktivists? Am I worried about organized crime? Am I worried about nation state? To be able to give everybody an appreciation of just how much sophistication, right, and how hard they're willing to try to get into me. Okay, that's one. The other area then is what I call the business impact analysis, which is what lines of business make my money and where is all my customer data? Because if I impact the money flow, that's an extinction level event. And if I compromise all my consumer data, okay, I'll have to pay fines, but my brand may be irreparably damaged. So once I know where those two kind of key impacts are, the systems, and I know the attacker types, now I have a basis to be able to simply say, here's where my practical defensive perimeter is going to reside.
And I think if I were to go at it, I'd go the other way. I look at my business first, because that'll help me understand where the attacks will come from and which would be meaningful. And it's just that. I think that's just a preference in determining what that residual risk becomes at the end once your program is in place.
All right.
Well, we agreed.
We do. We usually do.
I know.
All right.
Look at all those
this
answers.
One from Dustin Sachs. This is, I mean, you kind of answered this. One of the ones we hear is communication, and what you guys were referring to earlier. But break a few of these down. Dustin Sachs asks, "What are the 2 or 3 most important skills for someone looking to be a CISO to learn or enhance?" So, I mean, referencing talking to other business departments, definitely. What would you add to that, both of you?
Presentation abilities, like go out and join Toastmasters, do improv classes, anything that gets you terrified standing up in front of people saying things that you're uncomfortable talking about. And when you do that and become good at it, and then step into a boardroom talking about something that you are good at, your cybersecurity background holds the skills and the training and the knowledge, then that goes way down. The whole temperature goes way down. You feel more comfortable. You present with confidence, and you deal with especially the heckling side when people start like, you were a comedian. I don't know how you do that. That is terrifying to me, to be up there. Yeah.
Hadass, who does improv herself, in fact, ran an improv company in Florida. She also, for her 10% better tips, has taken improv class as well.
Yeah, it's like a 40% better, solidly.
Yeah. And she also had to learn the business. What are you going to add for tips on how to learn, like essentially position yourself to become a CISO?
Yeah. When I'm managing up, okay, the thing I've always remember is be prompt, be brief, and be gone. Okay. Meaning be prepared to talk about the solution to the problem that you're here for, and realize, and if you can do that in 10 minutes and be gone, that's huge success. Because the longer you're there, the more likely it is that you're going to take action items that you can't address. And when I'm talking to peers or to other people, I say, be prompt, be bright, and be gone. And the be bright is demonstrate that they can trust you to have their back, regardless of whether it's a business or others. So therefore, as a leadership skill, you're engendering that trust that people will do what you ask because they see it's in their best interest.
And I'm going to throw this additional question from Dustin that's similar, but would you answer this question any differently? What is the one thing you wish you had known when you started as a CISO? Like, I'm going to just say, what didn't you prepare? They're like, oh, if I had known this would have made this job a lot easier. Or is there nothing? What's your answer, Steve?
Oh, when I thought my job was to teach them security, not to sell more jeans in this case, which is once I understood it was all about the business and not about building a mature security organization and teaching everybody why security is worth 10% of your budget. That's a huge enabler for the effectiveness of you in your position.
Mm-hmm. What would you answer, Bill?
That I learned that you don't use a single solution for everything. No, it's not MFA on everything. It's not IDS on everything. It is context specific to what the business is. So like Steve's saying, tying it back to the business and understanding that there are bespoke solutions or different approaches, because you can afford to lose machines in certain areas. You just wipe them, start again, go. That's the most cost-effective way to deal with something. Other ones, you absolutely can't.
I'm going to add one more on this before, which was not every line of business is equal. So
oh God, no. Yeah.
I used to say, which was, I have 4 children and each of them is my favorite child, just not all at the same time. Meaning it is incredibly powerful as a CISO for you to look at the lines of business and go, you 2 lines of business, you're important to me because you make money. You 2 lines of business, you're not so important because you really don't provide that much value. And so you set up an appreciation now for the lines of business to realize if you want more security, you have to pay for it because I don't see that you bring value. And that is a huge enabler as a CISO at the business level when you're working with the executive team.
By the way, we need more bad ideas. I like this question from Aman Sood. Here, I'm putting this question out. Hello, CISOs. Thinking back over your career to date, I love this. And again, it can seem pat by today's standards, but this is a good question. What has been the most significant innovation or innovations or strategy you have implemented that had a major transformative impact on the organization? That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that. What would you say to that, Bill?
It's a tough one. Remote access, but properly implemented, not VPNs. I would say rolling out SaaS-based solutions, giving users the ability to continue to work outside of the physical corporate. And unfortunately, I've been here long enough that I was stuck inside a corporate office with a stack and no access to work after hours. And those really driven employees that want to work were coming in on the weekends. They were driving into the office, carting in, sitting down and being able to have that access through SaaS solutions remotely, securely, and consistently. I think that was the most transformative thing I've done.
That's a really good one. Steve, what would you say?
This was probably 10 years ago when I was at PG&E. And I was brought in to start the identity and access management program. They had a basic one, but we had to do a major upgrade. The thing that was most that I to this day I think about, I go, this was huge, which was if you look at authoritative sources and systems of record. Okay, so identity and access management is where is the identity data born, and what other systems are using it, and which ones of those are passing that on to a third system. Okay, I did that for the hundreds of applications, or I tried, and I demonstrated all the applications that were pulling identity data from the wrong places, and the data was either stale or wrong. So I was doing authentication and authorization on bad data. That, for any executive, when they saw just how complex that was and the fact that we were making bad decisions and give people bad access, was a huge way for everybody to understand why we had to undertake this very large program to basically consolidate and simplify the IAM program.
I'm going to throw this question from James Sperrenberg. I like this question. If, as a SecOps individual, asked you, what are the top 3 events on a system that you needed monitored to indicate possible nefarious action, what are those top 3 events? What are you looking for?
I'm going to fire the SecOps for asking that question, because they should not be asking me what that question is. They know the systems. They build the systems. They should know what is not right and what is nefarious. They should be coming to me saying, these are the top 3 nefarious things that happen. How do we monitor them and respond to them?
Okay.
Sorry, that was aggressive.
That was
awesome. I would see this for me, which was gloves came off. You're asking CISOs who are in the trenches every day. And guys, we're survival mode.
This, by the way, this is all lingering irritation that you never could afford that second L, Bill, in your name. Steve, what do you answer to this question?
I actually did this at Levi's, where I went to the SecOps team and I said, I want to basically focus on identity. So all I want to do is I want you to be able to focus on the authentication and the authorization flow to tell me where you think it doesn't make sense. And I said, and the reason why I said that is because if you tell me that, I can do something about it. Whereas for almost everything else, if there's network packets or whatever, I can't actually do something about it because I don't understand the business implication. And so I told them very simple, we're going to go into, right, identity-based detection prevention. And that really simplified everybody. And they were really upset because there's lots of things in the SOC that we're alerting, but I said, but you can't do anything with it. So I'd rather to get 3 alerts that I can do something about than 1,000 alerts that keep you busy but don't actually result in any action.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got a lot of bad ideas coming in, which we're going to play the Department of Yes in just a few minutes. That will be coming up. I ask you to please squeeze in your last few bad ideas here, if you could. But we do have more, and please ask more questions. I got many more to go to, but I still want yours because there can always be a better one. William Taluba. Will Taluba,
awesome.
Who says, how do you measure or support justification for headcount, either current levels or need for more? What do you do? I mean, is it just you're just given a budget amount and you say use it for this or that, or we've only got a headcount for 2 people, that's all I'm giving you, and it's just some random number and that's all you get? How does that work?
I use the red line. It's all project based. There's bodies attached to project and support. A lot of people forget when they put in a system that you require support afterwards. And like Steve said, back with the deputy CISO, you need 2, right? You need somebody to take vacation. They need to have time off. They need to get sick, those kinds of things. So I just use the red line. I start doing projects. I start doing costs for the software, costs for the implementation, and costs for support and maintenance all the way down. And then the red line is where my budget is. If they want more and it's below the red line, increase my budget. That line will start going down. More things will go above it. They want to cut my budget. Great. We're going to start rolling them up. And you try to prioritize them in the order of criticality, right? There's current things that will not be removed. So they're at the top and then they're just going down. That's where you also get to play a little bit of favoritism with different departments, as Steve was also saying earlier, going, I don't think you really put that much effort into it, or maybe I just don't like you, whatever it is. You're a little bit lower on that line. So that line goes up and you're cut, right? And then that's where you go back and justify your budget. Let the other departments fight out your budget for you.
Right. One of the best ways I saw this described was this whole concept of below and above the line. The idea is, anything that like, if you want to do this, we just have to have this. Don't even discuss the stuff over here. But you want to negotiate. Here's all the stuff you can negotiate. And it's the way I see it, it's like the magician who's saying, pick a card. He goes, he's already, told you what it's going to be. He's, making you believe that you have choice at this point.
Yeah. Exactly. And, shout out to Phil Armstrong, who was the CIO at Manulife at the time. He's the one that taught me that.
Mm-hmm. Steve, what do you add to this in terms of like determining a head count, how you handle it?
Yeah. I used to be of the opinion that as a security, as a CISO, right, I would determine what was most important. I would say, this is above the line. I have to do this. It's not negotiable. Okay. And then I would go, and audit says we have to do all this. So it's not negotiable. And then one day I said, something, I'm going to consider myself as an insurance agent. What insurance policies can I take for the business and the lines of business as being most effective, most likely to occur, and not try to say, I just need these programs. And I found that to be very interesting, because then I said, for the money in the budget, here are the insurance policies I'm taking for these lines of business to be able to protect the brand, protect the people, protect the supply chain. Okay. And this is what I'm not doing. So what I really highlighted on what was below the line, not what was above the line, and said, if you guys are all comfortable with that, I am too. And the first time I tried that, I was surprised, because I had lines of business come to me with money because they simply said, we are uncomfortable with the insurance policies that you've taken for our lines of business, and we want more insurance. So again, it was that flipping to really let the businesses understand what you can do for insurance for the money you're given, as opposed to just trying to do a prioritization of projects. And I get it's hard. That is not a simple concept, but it was a great out of the box thinking exercise that got me to be able to talk about the business more than about security. And again, I was surprised at how much the business then came to the table with money.
All right, very good. All right, we're gonna take this call that just came in.
Hello, welcome to the Department of Yes, where no request is ever rejected.
All right. So, Bill, you have not played this game, and this is the way the Department of Yes works. Is it's the opposite of the Department of No, where you're saying no to bad ideas or no to good ideas. Sorry, quite the opposite. Department of No operates you're saying no to good ideas. In this case, these will all be bad ideas, but you have to tell me why you should implement them, or in this case, why you should actually ask this question of a CISO. So these are all questions that you should not ask a CISO, but we're telling you, yes, you should definitely ask a CISO that question. And this one, this comes from Aaron Kinder. And I'm going to say, and I'm going to have Steve, you answer first, I will guarantee you've heard this question at one time. All right? And that question is, will you guarantee that our environment will be 100% secure? Steve, first answer, have you heard that before? And B, why should someone ask a CISO that question?
Ask me the question again.
Will you guarantee that our environment will be 100% secure?
Yes, I was asked that question, and my bad answer is, and I would hope you would ask me that, because if I'm not that good, I'm the wrong person for the job.
Were you looking to get fired?
I was going to say, you're getting fired on the first breach. Heck, an antivirus failure and you're out.
I don't know about that one, Steve. Bill, why do you want someone to ask you that question?
I'd want them to ask me that question so I could then educate them on truly what they're asking, right? Yes. If you're asking me if I'm secure, you might as well ask me if I'm health. Yes! It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Let Bill win that one. See, this was what was the worst possible way you could do it? See how good Bill sounded? See how CISOs have each other's back? Just saying.
All right. So here we go. Can we? There's so many good ones here. What will you? Hold on. I want to see what the. All right. We're going to go with this one from Jen Van Antwerp, which she just asked this one just moments ago. And I will ask you, Bill, first. And I saw you responded in chat. Can I have 15 minutes of your time in exchange for this delicious steak dinner? Which you have probably said yes to, actually.
Oh, God, yeah. Hell, I actually invite people out for dinner on these ones. Yeah, of course you can. Sure. Why would I want them to ask me that? Or do you want a bad answer to that?
First of all, you don't want to eat a steak in 15 minutes. Let's start with that.
You've never seen me eat steak, have you?
Yes, Hadass just echoed yes and my comment right there. Yes, actually, I don't think this is that awful a question to ask because, what do you think's happening in Black Hat next week? It's a lot of steak dinners, is what it is.
Yep, it absolutely is. Yeah, I don't think it's a bad question. I think it's a good question, though. I think if your timing is bad on that one, if you're calling up CrowdStrike customers for 15 minutes and a steak dinner after they've been breached on Saturday, not exactly the best time to be doing it.
There was some restaurant, and I'm sure others have seen this restaurant where they have this like enormous sushi roll, and if you can eat it in a certain amount of time, you get it for free. And I'm like, that can't be healthy for anybody to do something like that. I'm going to let me throw that. I'm going to change this. This is from Dustin Sachs. I'm going to throw this one at you. Again, why you should not ask a CISO this question. And here's the question. Why can't we get the tools they have on CSI? We want the DNA testing tool. We want that. Why can't we have it?
You want me to give the answer as to why they shouldn't ask me that?
No. The thing is why they should ask
why that. They should. Actually, they should ask me that, yes. Why can't we get that? And let's go to the board and ask that question together. If you would pose that question for me, I will support you on getting those tools.
Okay. Steve, why should people ask this question to the CISO? Or by the way,
It's a
here,
great question to ask.
that goes to Bill.
I like it. And it is because then I get to have a conversation around people, process, and technology. And as much as we'd like to think that technology is the magic bullet, it allows me to have a conversation around, are the people in the process mature enough if the technology does exist? So it actually allows
Do we
you to
have the
a more
lab
holistic-
techs to do
Yes,
the DNA?
to do it. Okay. Do we have the money? Do we have the lab techs to use the DNA? Or, hey, I hate to tell you this, but CSI is television and not everything on television is true. And so therefore, unfortunately, we don't have the technology that can really do that yet. But it brings us to have a really good conversation on what it takes to accomplish something, which is people, process, and technology.
All right. Very good. Good job for all of you. And I will go. Sir, yes, sir. Good job. Good job. All right. We have got 14 minutes left in our discussion today.
Oh,
Also,
fast.
it's a great opportunity to teach them about financials of the business. That is a good point, Hadas. Yes, we could get a whole lab and have everybody in white coats. That would be fantastic. But we don't have unlimited money. So what are we going to cut? Maybe you. So let's see.
I only had 1,000 analysts on my SOC team. We would have no breaches.
No, exactly. Just need 1,000 of them. Which I don't know. What company do you think has the most analysts? Like what kind of like a financial firm, a healthcare firm? It's got to be financial. Some kind of like something like a Chase. Or
Something
Fidelity.
like a Chase or one of the big biotechs.
You think biotechs will have more than a financial firm?
I don't know if they'd have more, but they would have a lot. I think they would be looking at defending those patents, defending the research.
Right, but the whole thing with a financial firm is that like literally a second blip in a market is financially disastrous, where
True.
most businesses can handle a second blip.
Yeah.
You know?
I would answer it as simply saying those organizations that have incredibly high legal and regulatory compliance muscle in the company, which is why I look at like finance, okay, where there's a lot of money that's put into security in those functions because it's just mandated to do it. It's cost of doing business. Whereas many other verticals, right, the investment is much closer to the revenue ROI, and therefore there's a gating factor.
Would you think like NASDAQ or one of the exchanges? Because an outage, like anything there.
My simple answer is it's the military. Okay, the one that has the most analysts is the military because they get them cheap and they can throw thousands of people at them. So my experience, right, when I was like
you got the correct answer.
And looking at nation state attack and really understanding where the resources were is the government, right, can get a lot of them cheap.
I'd love
And
anybody out
it's
there
eyes on
that
glass.
is ex-military intel to validate that, because to me, I agree with the fact that you've got cheap bodies and you can do it. I just don't think they do. I think they throw them at the front lines and they cheap out on the back end just like any other business.
Let's see, right? Like I
Yeah.
said,
Anyone in the military
touch
can
points
confirm or deny that? I'd be interested to
you
know. Let me remind everybody, if you look at the bottom of the screen right here, it says, join us next time. That's August 16, 2024 for Hacking the Demo. We're going to be talking about how to make an awesome demo, whether you're presenting it at a live show like a Black Hat or RSA, or you're creating a video about that. And it's going to be really great. Actually, the two people we're going to have on are people who have sat through and watched endless demos, so they can tell you what it's been good and bad. We'll have the CTO of GigOhm, the analyst firm, and also a gentleman who produces tech events, and a lot of people do demos at his events as well. So please register for that. That is going to be a super fun discussion, and that's not going to be up there the entire time. In fact, I'm going to use this moment to do a quick closeout, and then we'll answer as many questions we can in the last few minutes of our discussion right now. Oh, also, the last 10 minutes we have, this is also any other question you may have, not about necessarily CISOs, but we can go through the questions we didn't reach. But we're going to roll this over to our meetup portion that's going to be over in Discord, all of this. So if you've got any question you have, and it can be on literally anything, just write meetup : and we'll ask a question. And that question is for everybody, the whole community. And we're, if you're looking for feedback from the community, this is a perfect time to do it. So just write meetup : whatever the heck question you have, and we will ask it afterwards, which will be in 10 minutes. But now let's do a quick little close up here. Just review our last few things here. We have a few items just to close up, and then we'll ask some final questions here. All right, starting soon. It's going to be an hour and 40 minutes from right now. We have the VP CISO for WeStat, Dennis Pickett, is going to be joining us on Cybersecurity Headlines. It is essentially the week's news in just 25 minutes. Both Steve and Bill have been guests on this show, so you know what this
It's a
is
good
like.
one.
Anyways,
Dennis,
go
good people.
go to where it's our YouTube page. So it's just youtube.com/CISO series, or just go to our website. You'll see it. You can, by the way, subscribe to the show. Like you can, register, and then you'll get alerts when the show comes live. Stick around for a meetup. You're going to click the link at the bottom. Oh, look at it. Just like that. Aaron, our producer, just changed it over. You can click on that link anytime. That'll take you into Discord. Just make sure. Let us know if you're having any problems. We were having some problems earlier, but they seemed all ironed out. That will open up your Discord. Make sure you have a Discord account. If you're not clear on Discord, your little audio and video controls are going to be in the lower left-hand corner, like right over the letter C, and click the link at the bottom. Right over that, that's where your audio and video controls are. Do you want to sponsor a Super Cyber Friday? I believe our next one will be in September is our next available date. So if you would like to sponsor, just email us at info@cisoseries.com, and we'd love to have you. All right. We got a few questions. Well, we've got a lot of questions left. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to all of these, but we have 8 minutes left. Oh, actually, you know what? Let's do this. Let me ask you final comments here from both of you, and then we'll fill out with any additional questions. Steve, last comment from you about, as a CISO, I'm going to ask this question. What is the best question you've ever been asked? Oh, Bill, both of your eyes are getting wide here.
You would think that wouldn't be that hard of a question to answer.
They're struggling with it.
Oh no, I got
Bill,
one.
can you answer this one?
Yeah. I had a head of HR ask me, Bill, can you come join our kickoff? So it was all the sub kickoffs for the company, and they asked me to come join the HR kickoff and participate in it. And that's where I started to learn all this nomenclature, all this understanding of what was happening, the challenges, the goals, the aspirations they had for the whole year. And it helped me understand the program I could put in place. And that, I think that was the best question I ever had. Could I participate in their kickoff?
That is actually very good. And I see we have one meetup question from Aman. Please type in your meetup questions. Steve, can you think of the best question that was asked of you as a CISO?
Yeah, it was by the legal team asking if they would be comfortable if I took over redlining the contracts for cybersecurity concerns. And I was like, wow, basically legal team, as I was educating them on cybersecurity, got to the point where they were comfortable that I understood the legal side. And they were basically saying, if you could do all the redlining, that would be huge because we'll focus on the other parts. You focus on that and you have our back. And I just thought, wow, think about how powerful that is for you as a CISO, that you're not here just training and worrying about security, but the business, in essence, is giving you the opportunity, right, to be able to craft, right, the language in the contracts as to what's good enough for the company to buy product.
And knowing that you can tie your program into the contractual obligations, which feeds your audit, which satisfies your customers.
By the way,
yes,
two CISOs here, Jim Bowie and Dwayne Grant,
both
have
that
interesting
name, by the way.
answers. Do you want to come work for us? I love that. Best question I got. By the way, I want to mention that both of your questions, and also Jim, all of them speak to, oh, you respect the CISO position. Thank you. That's really what it comes down to. But Dwayne actually has a really good one here was, what is the most impactful KPI we are tracking? And it hit me hard because I realized we were tracking a lot of stuff, but we weren't as prioritized as we needed to be. And that was, it was like, I always appreciate that as well. Okay, we have exactly 5 minutes. Let's see how fast we can get through some of these. I know this is a catch-all question, but let me know if there's an answer. Ben Davies asks, what does a typical day, if it exists, look like for a CISO? Just give me a nutshell. I hear meetings is what a typical day is.
Yeah, it's meetings. You're either listening to people with requests, listening to people with problems, or you're meeting with people to go through it and provide strategy. I don't think there is a typical day. There shouldn't be.
Right. Jim hasn't had the same thing twice.
Yeah.
Steve?
I say now, I don't control my destiny as a CISO on what my day looks like. But what I found is oral communication is 90% of my job on different topics, but it's all about oral communication to be able to address whatever is happening, whether it's proactive or reactive.
Bit of advice I will give people out there, though, is control your calendar. Make sure that you do block off regularly sections for things that you need to deal with and sections for yourself.
Like lunch.
Lunch, absolutely. Make it 90% immutable, right? There's things that will push over a lunch or a reading. You set aside 20 minutes to do some reading, or 30 minutes to catch up on the topics, or an hour every month to attend the CISO series. Set those aside and stick
There
to
are
them.
people who do that, and I appreciate if those you are here that set aside this hour and a half to join us. I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
Or going to the gym.
Yes. The gym. Absolutely. I am a gym rat now.
And don't underestimate the value of a beer tap in your office.
Very good. Okay. We have 3 minutes left. Let's get through a couple more here. This is that answers also Dario Montelongo's question of how do you balance work-life activities. But Dario also asked this question, and again, this is a long, big answer. And by the way, you posted about this, and we're going to be talking about this on Defense in Depth, Steve. Given that a large percentage of breaches happening via the supply chain, third parties, what has helped you in reducing risk in this area? So this is a 10% tip. I don't want to know the grand answer to this, I would love to know it, but I don't think anyone has it. So give me one tip that you have in dealing with third-party risk, or reducing or managing it, or understanding it, anything. Just one tip. What do you got, Steve? And a lot of people answered on that LinkedIn post.
I would say right now, acknowledge that I don't have a good answer to the question.
Okay.
10%. Start asking for SBOMs. At least you can find out what components are in the software that you're utilizing.
All right. Yeah, that's a good quick tip. All right. Let's see. Let's go by questions here. Let's try to get one or two more of these because we just have like a
party, like a third party.
I saw that one too.
Regarding AI, this comes from here, Umo. Regarding AI-powered fraud and breaches, what should a CISO take into consideration when embarking on a risk assessment of information assets or process? This pass is not clearly defined. So essentially, how do you manage risk assumption of any, I guess, new AI tool?
Well, if I'm reading that AI fraud and breaches, I'm treating fraud and breaches as fraud and breaches. I don't care if it's 97 people typing furiously or an AI generating them. If I'm looking at AI, this is about your data, right? This is going to be the problem, because we are now putting massive amounts of data into these things, not just erroneously through somebody using Notion's AI and accidentally cutting and pasting the HR list into it, but we are taking petabytes of data and giving it data scientists and saying, build something on this, and we don't understand the tool, how it operates, and how to protect it.
All right. Very, very good. Steve, what will you add to this? And we're going to wrap this up after your answer.
Yeah. So here's the problem. AI-powered fraud, right, which is social engineering attacks. AI is awesome to weaponize for that. And I'm very, very limited in my ability to use AI to weaponize and return. So what I say is educate is the best I can do, which is remind people that stoves are hot. Please be careful if you touch the stove. And to the degree that I can have your back by watching over AI as a DLP problem, data loss prevention problem, what's going out and what's coming in, that's the best insurance policy I can take today.
All right, we are done with our show. We've just gone over a few seconds, so I want to thank my guests, Steve Zalewski, Bill Harmer. Everyone click on the link at the bottom of the screen. Please join us on our Discord. We have more questions. We have a few, I think, for our meetup as well. And actually, if you via Slack, send me the link to that, Rich. That will make my life a little bit easier. Thank you, everybody. I greatly appreciate it. And thanks to our producers, Rich and Aaron, making this show possible as well. Take us out, Aaron.